6 months later, Marcus walked back onto the land. The house still stood, untouched. The buyer had walked away. Leonard's reputation was damaged. Patricia avoided public events. Marcus bought the structure back, for a fraction of its value. He stood alone in the living room, sunlight pouring in like forgiveness. The golden house was home again. But something had changed. Ariana arrived at the golden house on a quiet Sunday morning. No parents. No assistants. No luxury car following her. She stood at the gate for a long time before pressing the bell. Marcus opened the door himself. For the first time since everything happened, she looked small. "I told them everything," she said immediately. Marcus stepped aside and let her in. The house felt different now, quieter, stripped of illusion. Some furniture was gone. Some art had been removed. It no longer screamed wealth. It whispered truth. "I told them I won't be part of anything that harms you again," Ariana continued. "They cut me off." Marcus studied her face. No makeup. No performance. "Why now?" he asked. She swallowed. "Because I finally realized something." She looked around the living room. "This house didn't break our marriage." She met his eyes. "My silence did." Leonard Whitmore wasn't used to losing. When the lawsuits drained his influence, his circle shrank quickly. Invitations stopped. Deals paused. People who once laughed loudly around him now answered emails with formality, or not at all. One afternoon, his assistant resigned without explanation. That evening, Leonard sat alone in his penthouse. Patricia spoke softly. "We pushed too far." Leonard slammed his glass down. He was supposed to be grateful. For what? Patricia asked. For being robbed? Leonard didn't answer. Because for the first time, he understood something terrifying. Marcus Reed hadn't fought him emotionally. He fought him correctly. Marcus and Ariana sat on the balcony that night. City lights stretched endlessly. "I love you," Ariana said quietly. Marcus nodded. "I believe you." Her breath caught. "But love doesn't erase damage." She closed her eyes. "I know. I won't punish you," Marcus continued. "But I won't ignore what happened either." She reached for his hand. "I'll do whatever it takes." Marcus gently pulled his hand back. "Then start by standing on your own," he said. "Not behind me. Not behind them." She nodded, tears slipping silently. Marcus made his decision alone. Not in anger. Not in revenge. In clarity. He transferred the Golden House into a protected legacy trust, one that required absolute transparency and consent from all parties. Ariana wasn't removed. But she wasn't empowered either. Trust, he decided, must be earned forward, not restored backward. When he told Ariana, she didn't argue. "I understand," she said. And for the first time, Marcus knew she truly did. Months later, Marcus hosted a quiet gathering. No press. No status guests. Just people who had stood with him when he stood alone. Jordan raised a glass. To a man who learned the difference between love and access. Laughter followed. Ariana stood beside Marcus, not as an extension, but as herself. The Golden House glowed behind them, not as a trophy, but as a foundation. Marcus looked around and realized something important. The house had been taken, returned, reclaimed, but he had never been lost. Leonard never entered the Golden House again. Patricia sent a letter, apologetic but distant. Ariana rebuilt herself slowly, honestly. And Marcus? Marcus expanded his legacy, not with anger, but with boundaries. In 2026, the Golden House stood taller than ever. Not because it was made of glass and gold, but because it was built on something stronger. Truth. Peace didn't last quietly. The Golden House, once whispered about in elite circles, became spoken of again, but differently. Not as stolen property. Not as scandal. As power reclaimed. Marcus noticed it first through invitations. Private investor dinners. Luxury real estate summits. Quiet calls from people who once ignored him. Success had returned, but now it carried weight. One evening, as Marcus reviewed documents in his study, Ariana stood at the doorway. "You're changing," she said softly. He looked up. "I had to." She nodded. "I'm trying to catch up." Marcus didn't respond immediately. Some distances weren't measured in steps, but in time. Patricia Whitmore watched an interview Marcus gave on a business channel. He spoke calmly about ownership, boundaries, and generational mistakes. Not once did he mention their names. That silence hurt more than accusation. Patricia dialed Ariana. "You've chosen him," Patricia said without greeting. "I chose myself," Ariana replied. Patricia exhaled sharply. Men like Marcus don't forgive. They reposition. Ariana's voice was steady. "Then maybe you should have taught me honesty instead of control." The line went dead. Leonard Whitmore's letter arrived on thick cream paper. Marcus didn't open it for 2 days. When he did, it was brief. "I underestimated you. I thought power was ownership. Turns out, it's restraint. No apology. No regret. Just acknowledgement." Marcus folded the letter once, then placed it in a drawer he rarely opened. Some closures didn't need replies. Ariana asked it one night, standing barefoot on the marble floor. "Do you still see a future with me?" Marcus didn't answer immediately. He walked to the window, looking out at the city that never paused for anyone's pain. "I see possibility," he said finally. Her chest tightened. "That's not the same as certainty." "No," Marcus replied. "But it's honest." Tears slid down her cheeks. "I'm afraid I'll always be paying for what I didn't stop." Marcus turned to her. "And I'm afraid of loving someone who hesitates when pressure comes." Silence settled between them. Heavy. Necessary. The security system alerted Marcus at noon the next day. Unauthorized visitor. Requesting access. He checked the screen. Leonard Whitmore. Older. Thinner. No entourage. Marcus considered denying entry. Then he pressed the intercom. "You have 5 minutes." Leonard entered slowly, looking around like a man walking through a place he once tried to steal. "I came to say this in person," Leonard said. "I lost my daughter the moment I treated her marriage like a transaction." Marcus didn't respond. Leonard nodded. "I won't ask forgiveness. I forfeited that." He turned and left. Marcus watched from the balcony, and felt nothing, which surprised him. Ariana moved into her own luxury apartment downtown. Not as a separation announcement. As a declaration. "I need to know who I am without leaning," she told Marcus. He respected that. They didn't end things. They didn't label things. They let truth breathe. Some nights, Marcus sat alone in the Golden House and realized something unexpected. Loneliness didn't scare him anymore. A year later, Marcus expanded his real estate empire. But the Golden House remained untouched. No renovations. No expansions. It had already survived its trial. Standing on the balcony one evening, Marcus understood the final lesson. The house wasn't golden because of money. It was golden because it withstood betrayal and didn't collapse. Just like him. Ariana visited sometimes. They spoke honestly, carefully, without illusion. Love still existed, but it was no longer blind. And Marcus knew, whether together or apart, no one would ever sell his life out from under him again. By mid-2026, Marcus Reed had become a quiet reference point. Not flashy. Not scandal-driven. People spoke of him in rooms where decisions were made. He doesn't rush. He doesn't bend. He doesn't forget, but he doesn't destroy. The Golden House appeared in architectural journals, not as a spectacle, but as a case study in ownership resilience. Ariana watched one interview from her apartment. Marcus spoke about trust. Trust, he said calmly, is not proven by love. It's proven by pressure. She turned off the screen. That sentence felt like it was written directly to her. Ariana stopped asking Marcus where they stood. Instead, she focused on where she stood. She declined her parents' calls without explanation. She built her own consulting firm. She learned to sit in silence without reaching for approval. One evening, she stood in her apartment, looking at her reflection. For the first time, she didn't see a daughter, or a wife, or an extension. She saw a woman learning accountability. And that realization hurt, but it didn't break her. Marcus sent a message. Dinner. The Golden House. Just us. No explanation. Ariana arrived dressed simply. No armor. No performance. Marcus had prepared the meal himself. They ate quietly. Then Marcus spoke. "I'm not angry anymore," he said. "But anger isn't what ended us." Ariana nodded. "I know." "What ended us," Marcus continued, "was hesitation when clarity was required." Tears formed in her eyes. "I didn't know how to choose." Marcus met her gaze. "And that's the truth we couldn't survive." They sat in the living room where everything had begun. Marcus stood. "I'm letting you go," he said gently. Not cruelly. Not dramatically. Cleanly. Ariana covered her mouth. "You're not divorcing me in anger," she whispered. "No," Marcus replied. "I'm releasing you in honesty." She cried, but she didn't argue, because deep down, she understood. Love had been real, but alignment had not. The divorce was quiet, private, dignified. No press. No revenge. Ariana signed with steady hands. Marcus didn't celebrate. He simply exhaled. That night, he walked through the Golden House alone. And for the first time, the silence felt peaceful. Leonard heard the news through a third party. He sat still for a long time. He had lost control, lost access, lost relevance. And worst of all, he couldn't undo it. Power, he realized too late, had an expiration date. A year passed. Marcus didn't fill the space with distractions. He traveled, built, rested. He learned that solitude wasn't emptiness. It was clarity without noise. One afternoon, he stood on the balcony of the Golden House, watching the city. Jordan joined him. "You regret it?" Jordan asked. Marcus shook his head. "No." He paused. "I regret ignoring the early signs." In 2027, the Golden House still stood. Untouched. Uncompromised. People assumed it symbolized wealth. But Marcus knew better. It symbolized discernment. Because the most valuable thing that survived wasn't the house. It was him. Whole. Unowned. Unmoved. And no one would ever sell his life again.